What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing UFC 324 predictions. Before we get into it, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Please tell me how good of a predictor I am or how bad you think my predictions are in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. Tell me I'm terrible. Please, I feed off the hate. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. First up, Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Now this is a pretty heavily discussed fight by everyone in the MMA space so far. I see half the people thinking Paddy Pimblett is just going to sub him, do what he's done at, not the highest level, but do what he's done so far to Justin Gaethje. And he is the favorite. I can't see betting odds because of the state I live in, but he is the favorite. I believe it's almost 3-1 favorite, I think, which is crazy because a lot of the online discourse I've seen is about Gaethje knocking out Pimblett, but you know, I think Paddy's got a reach advantage here. He's just a very gangly, spindly, wild fighter. Obviously, we saw him catch Michael Chandler with that knee and kind of send him wobbling. And I see something very similar happening in this fight. I think Paddy's not going to stand in the pocket and box with Justin Gaethje because I think that's going to get him murdered in this situation. But I think he's going to keep it at range and really bring the cardio out on this one. And I think, keep saying I know. I'm predicting sort of a late stage. They're both tired. Gaethje throws his ducking overhand that he always throws. He gets super low, super set in his base, and he throws that overhand and ducks his head to try and avoid some punishment coming in back at himself. And I think Paddy's gonna either catch him with like a kick or some sort of knee. It's gonna be some sort of leg strike that's gonna catch a ducking Justin Gaethje, and I think that's gonna send him to the ground for a Paddy ground and pound TKO because I think Gaethje's gonna be so afraid of that grappling threat. So yeah, I think uh, I think it's going to be some sort of late stage round 4 or 5 ground and pound TKO for Paddy, just because I think he's got a big arsenal of moves that can catch a tired Justin Gaethje. And yeah, I think this one goes pretty far, but Paddy by TKO. Next up, we have Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, and obviously we see this is the co-main event of the night. We see Song Yadong fighting with a very high and tight guard. He likes to run everything through a jab and then use follow-up shots after that. So I think if this fight gets in close, it favors Song Yadong. But I think his high and tight guard is going to leave him open to just getting chewed up by Sean O'Malley because he just has such a reach advantage. He's so much taller. He's so much rangier. And I think he can kind of just whip, leg strikes, body shots at Song Yadong as he tries to press forward. And yeah, I think O'Malley either finds the shot late or this goes to a decision. But I don't think Song Yadong is going to be able to use his striking as effectively as we might think. And also, I don't think he's going to use any of the wrestling that I thought he might when this was a 3-round fight. But now it's a 5-round fight. I think he tries to keep his cardio up because we've seen him have cardio issues in the past. So I think this one goes the distance with Sean O'Malley just flicking out jabs, flicking kicks, and taking this decision home over 5 rounds. Next up, we got Drewski versus Drewski, okay? Both of these guys are, like, in my head, the exact same model fighter. They're both just doing nothing until they land that one punch. And these guys are effectively the same build. Like, they're basically the same height, same weight, same reach. But I do think Waldo Cortez Acosta has better striking than Derek Lewis in this situation. Better striking technique, at least. And yeah, with both of these guys having pretty similar skills, I think any advantage that one of them has is going to take them further, and I think that's Waldo's. Waldo's a little bit more of a striker, better striker, a little more proficiency in the game, and yeah, Derek Lewis won his last fight, so if he won this one, he may be in title contention, and we can't have that. So Derek Lewis is obviously going to get fluke knocked out. So yeah, bit of a light prediction, not as techy as the last two, but not a whole lot you can say for this. The new fight that goes on the main card after Nunes Harrison gets canceled is Rose Namajunas versus Natalia Silva. Do we care about this? Let's just scroll down real quick before we get to the predictions. Umar is on a number one contenders match, by the way, basically, is on the prelims. And we have a women's flyweight bout on the main card. I don't get it. But yeah, I think I you know, I just don't have a lot to say about this. I think probably Rose Namajunas. She's coming off a win over Miranda Maverick. We saw her women's strawweight run. I think she is one of the best women's MMA fighters, but obviously we've seen her fights go kind of wishy-washy, 50-50 sometimes. So I don't exactly know what to tell you on this, but I'll say Rose Namajunas by decision. I didn't really film study this one like I did some of the other ones, so that's on me. Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Now this one is interesting. Both these guys have 3 losses. Gene Silva getting pushed for that top 5 harder than anyone's ever been pushed before. And yeah, you know, I just think Gene Silva's gonna win this. He throws the kitchen sink and a few plates at his opponents, and he can take a beating of a lifetime. He took 1 full minute of Lopez elbows in ground and pound in full mount in his last fight, and he got up after that. He did get spinning elbow KO'd, but I think if he hits Arnold Allen with any of the shots he hit Diego Lopez with, Arnold Allen is going to sleep. And I like Arnold Allen. I think he's a good fighter, but I just think I just don't think autism is the best. His autism is the best base for this fight. I think having Gene Silva autism would be a little bit better for him. But yeah, we're gonna see Gene Silva walk up in there and bark and hoot and holler like he always does. But yeah, I think Gene Silva gets a TKO or a knockout here, and then gets either a title shot or another number one contenders match. But it's just a shame because I do like Arnold Allen and I do hate Gene Silva just because I feel like he's very annoying. But yeah, now for our first prelims fight: Umar versus Davison Figueiredo. Let me pull up the notes for this, John. So I will highlight that in my mind, this is like a wrestling dwarf versus a jiu-jitsu dwarf, even though Figgy's definitely tinier. I feel like both of these guys are pretty proficient with the hands. Figgy hits people pretty hard, but I think Umar gets away with this with another unanimous decision, like he did over Mario Batista. But I will say, watch out for any type of leg lock, heel hooks coming out of even a toe hold, like Batista did versus Umar. We see that he's very, very he's very jittery when he goes for his scrambles, and it ended up with Batista being able to grab a leg, and I think Figgy has even better jiu-jitsu than that, so I think he might be able to take that a little further. And even if he doesn't finish the submission, I think it's going to do major damage to Umar. But I think Umar's plot armor is going to get him back to a title shot. And I think he can just shoot and hold, you know, hold the back or, hold crucifix like fucking Hamzat did. And yeah, I think he just kind of slows this down enough to where he can stay in control for most of it and win this fight. Next up, we have Tebo Gauthier versus Andre Pulev, I think. I'm not quite sure. I just can't look at this any other way than Tebo Gauthier finishing this with a TKO or knockout. He's, it's so dumb to say, but he is middleweight Ngannou, where there's not a whole lot of technique, but it's just like when the hands get put on you, you go to sleep. And yeah, both these guys pretty similar build, pretty similar in that regard, but I think Tebo Gauthier just flatlines him and just sends him off like he's done to everyone else. And I think it's going to take a real middleweight contender to get these Tebo Gauthier fights to be a little more competitive. Next up, last fight on the normal prelims, Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. And yeah, I think if I'm recalling correctly, and I'm pretty sure I am, yeah, this is the guy who got the cheap fake KO versus, or the fake grounded elbow. No. Final fight on the prelims, we have Nikita Krylov versus Modestas Bukauskas. And yeah, didn't do too much research on this one. I think it's I don't know, the way I see this is just kind of plays out at range. Nikita Krylov kind of keeps us at distance, and I think we see another 3-round unanimous decision. I'm not feeling too hopeful for a lot of these prelim and early prelim fights. I think they've got some great fighters, but I don't think it's going to turn out the way we think it is, and I feel like we may look back on this card a lot more negatively than we looked at it before it started. So, early prelims, Charles Johnson versus Alex Perez. I have Charles Johnson by TKO. Any guy who can knock out Joshua Van can knock out anyone. But all jokes aside, Charles Johnson does have knockout wins over Loner Kavanaugh and Joshua Van, two very good upcoming prospects and the champion. So, yeah, I think and he's massive. He's huge. Not to be Joe Rogan, but how does he make 125? You know, and I think he's built up a pretty nice streak. I don't think he's actually on a win streak, but he's built some solid wins, and I think he takes that into this fight and just flatlines Alex Perez because I think he's just bigger and a better striker, and I think that's where this goes. Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. You know, Unk is really showing out right now. You know, it's kind of a full circle because Michael Johnson fought, I think it was Justin Gaethje in Gaethje's debut, and now Gaethje's in the main event. And Michael Johnson is on the early prelims, but I don't think Unk has got this one. I think Alexander Hernandez is too young, too quick. He's a little bit smaller, but I don't think this fight goes to the ground. I think it kind of just stays on the feet, and I don't think Michael Johnson finds a knockout here. So I think it's Alexander Hernandez by unanimous decision, UD or split decision. I could see either one. Josh Hokett versus Denzel Freeman. Obviously, we saw Josh Hokett after his last fight cut a pretty interesting promo. He tried to hit the Chael Sonnen type beat And I think that was a terrible move because I think he gets flatlined here. He looks very small in comparison to Freeman, and yeah, I think he gets knocked out, and the UFC derails another hype prospect. But it's fine because we can feed Hoka to Asplund after he loses this fight. Get Asplund up in the rankings, but yeah, I think Josh Hoka, you know, gets knocked out. He's a lot smaller, but yeah, I don't have anything to say about it. It's kind of tough with these heavyweight guys who have two UFC fights, and especially with such short fight times, it's kind of difficult to come up with good things to say. The main event, the co-main, I watched a bunch of fights. I tried to break down techniques and stuff, but there's just not a whole lot to break down here. Fat man swing punch, fat man get knocked out. So Turcios versus Cameron Smotherman. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't know. I don't really know. I'll go through and yeah, I just don't think I don't think either of these guys get the other one out, but I'll say let me just check grappling stats real quick. Yeah, I say Cameron Smotherman by KO. I don't know why. I'm just feeling it. I'm calling a heat check because I feel so great about the rest of my picks. I'm throwing something up. So, give me Smotherman by TKO. And Ty Miller against Adam Fujit. I don't know why they do this with the fighter profiles when they're coming off Contender Series. They have like the white picture. It's so odd. It helps you find out when people are debuting, though, as we see. But yeah, I think Ty Miller's got some long ass legs. That's crazy. I think we so often see these Dana White Contender Series fighters sneak off a win in their first fight. I feel like we always see these guys go like 8-0, 7-0, 9-0 before they really start getting tough competition. So I'm gonna say Ty Miller gets out of here with a win, and I think we see one Instagram highlight out of him this fight. So that's my call. So yeah, that is the entire card. Just going back up to recap a little bit. Obviously said Paddy catches Gaethje late in the fight, and O'Malley versus Song Yadong goes to a decision. I think that O'Malley wins, but that's the main and co-main. I think I want to throw up in the next video. I think I'm going to throw up a all-time counter at the start of every predictions video, just so we can see how I'm doing, and so that you guys can see I am the greatest predictor on YouTube. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Please like and subscribe. Like the video, it helps out a bunch. I may be doing one more video over fight week. We'll have to see. But yeah, I really love watching the sport. I really love making predictions, and it's been so much fun to sit here and just nerd out watching fights and trying to think in my mind, how does this play out against someone else. So I really enjoyed doing this. I'll see y'all next time. Be good people, and yeah, have a great week. Have a great fight week. I'll see y'all next time.